Hello, everybody. We are live and very happy to be back on this broadcast live Wednesday. We have a weekly broadcast with different types of interviews. And today is the Voices of the Tribe um, live broadcast. And we have Jennifer Balco with us. Hello, Jen.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, everyone.
Hey. So the
Thanks.
intention,
Thanks for having me.
yes, it's a pleasure. I'm super happy to have you with us. And just to give a perspective to everybody who's watching right now and who are new to the group, just post summit, this broadcast in particular, Voices of the Tribe, is really to give a space to the voice of the tribe. Voices of, it says it, voices of people who, women who have been journeying with us in our transformation journeys and programs for more than a year, more or less, or more than 6 months at least, and who are here to share the jewels that they have discovered, whether it's in their lives or in their bodies, and what this gives them access now in their lives, and the potential of creativity that it gives them access to. So it's to relate, to have a very simple, genuine conversation, heart-to-heart conversation. And yeah, so we'll start right now, Jen, and start by telling us a little bit about where you were before jumping into our transformation programs, and what was your deepest longing, what was your intention, what was calling for you.
Yeah, it's hard to remember exactly what the moment was where I found you, but at the mid of 2019, I had finished a long walk across two continents. And for 3.5 years, that was my mission. It was get up, pack up the tent, and walk. And when I came back at the end of 2019, I couldn't fit into the life that I had when I left for the walk, which was freelance writing and journalism. And it just couldn't work. Like I felt like, oh God, is this I can't go backwards. I was already too far forward to go back into fitting into that square peg that I had created in my life. So around the end of 2019 and before the pandemic, and I know we crossed paths I think just before lockdown in March. I think we
Mhm.
connected in February somehow, and I
Yes.
really was longing for like my third act. Like as I move closer out of my 40s and move into my 50s, and I had done the journalism and freelance thing for like 25, 27 years, and then I'd finished this long walk that took up so much of my mind space. I knew I needed to find a new heart space to live in. And I think that's where the longing was I just needed to start setting up what I thought was going to be something that happened in my 50s, and it ended up happening last year, when
Mm.
I turned, mostly between my 48 and 49th year now. It There's been a really fast movement to, yeah, I'm on that right path of finding some new place to play in, and that was the
Mhm.
longing.
Yeah, another chapter and connecting deeper to your heart. What's the wisdom that you have acquired since you started? What have you learned the most since you started? Whether it's about the body or the wisdom that you have accessed inside your own self, that is now a compass for you, that kind of nobody can take away from you because it's a knowing, something that you have directly experienced.
Well, and I think it's even though I took millions of baby steps, I forgot how to do that in actual, like, normal life. And I have a tendency to have a runaway vision. Like, okay, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do this, and do this, and do this, and really rush into like having it all done, like an all or nothing sort of approach. And I suppose that the knowing that I now know even more clearly, and because of your help and guidance and just remembering to be in the step that I'm in. I can't do a million steps in one step. I have to do a million steps at a million steps. Like that's what it is. It's one step. Each step is something new and offers something different. And I've that's been sort of a guiding compass point for me this year because it was so easy to start spinning like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to create all of these things, and then just coming back and saying, what's really aligned to me right now? And I suppose that's the other flip side, is to realize that my very motivated masculine wants this and wants this direction and wants this outcome and wants it now and wants it soon, and my feminine needs more place to play and dance. So learning this year how to come back into the movement where they're both expressed and feeling, yeah, I can play and I can have direction. They're not exclusive of each other. They can move together. And I'm still practicing that. There's my feminine wants to lead my masculine around the dance floor a lot. And my masculine is stepping on the toes of my feminine sometimes, um
Mm,
but it's been that knowing of just one small step at a time gets me a long way, and to remember
mm.
that.
Yeah, and I love what you're exposing about, one small step at a time. Also, it's taking your time, like not going fast paced, and like as you're taking your time, you feel the dance between the masculine and the feminine even more, and they can communicate at a deeper level in a more authentic way, exposing their needs. The feminine wants to play and wants to expand and wants to feel, and the masculine wants results and wants to direct. and how both of those principles are inside ourselves. Maybe some of the listeners are not familiar with this, but if you can share about what you learned about how it's all inside of us, the masculine and the feminine, and it's not something that we need to seek outside, even if we need to be social and all of this is part of being human, but we have all of this inside. Can you share a bit about what you learned around this?
Yeah, and I think this is something that I'm always remembering, right? And I'm always becoming who I am. And it's always a surprise, who I was in my 20s is different than who I am in my 40s. There's different expressions of myself. And
Mm.
I this sort of knowing, and maybe it's also cultural, but when you start off in life on the journey after university, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go get this job and have this much money and this much stuff, and then realize later in life, or I realized later in life, that that's not the measurement of who I am. That's the measurement of who I am I able to express myself creatively, and am I able to hold space for people? Am I to play with this in a new way that I didn't know before? Like now I'm stepping into this sort of space holding and teaching role and having to be visible. This is a
Mm-hmm.
completely different thing. I don't know that I know how to do, but I know that I know how to do it because
Mm-hmm.
I just need some practice, right? Like it's just some part of me that hasn't really come through yet. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I was a kid, I used to dance on the porch, and have groups of kids watching me like that. I wasn't afraid of it then, but
Mm-hmm.
now, trusting that still is part of me, that was not something that's been dismembered from me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's still
Part of your
there.
part of your design. And
Yeah.
as you're resting in yourself, you're reclaiming all those parts, and now they're kind of being able to play music together.
Yeah, they play a funny tune. They're not all in harmony yet, but yeah, there is a more fulfilling sense of yeah, I know things, and I know them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I know them, but I know that they're at the point of wanting to be known and revealed to me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been fun finding that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
okay.
it's as you're reclaiming those parts also, and you do this inner work, and you find this inside of you, you can then support others now to find that. You can hold space the way you hold space for yourself. Now you can hold space for others, because it's something that is is acquired inside, right? It's not something that you read in a book or something. It's a direct experience in the body that's integrated in your cells, that is now capable of being offered outside.
Yeah, but it's hard to know that too, right? Because you're like, wow, this is something I'm capable of, and there's imposter syndrome. I think that's one of the things I first came to you with was like, how is anybody going to believe me? Like, what do I got to offer people? What is it that, what lived experience can I share that's valuable? But I'm also a storyteller. I've been a writer for a long time. Everybody's got a story, right? It's just how you want to tell the narrative. So it is, again, just sort of reconnecting dots that,
Mm.
you can take a step back and then you feel it in the body. And I'm leaning in. I'm already leaning with my head, right? Like I know that and I'm aware of that now. So it's the awareness of saying, yeah, my body has wisdom too. My body knows what it wants to do.
And speaking about the body, tell us a bit, because we work a lot about the ground, we work with the ground and the womb and like feeling the safety inside so we can have enough resiliency of the nervous system to appear in our gifts, to appear very transparent and authentic. What have you learned about the body? What is this place in the body where you ground? Tell us about your experience about this.
That's a really good question, Jennifer, because you've gotten to know me and I tend to have I don't have a lot of roots. I have a sort of nomadic experience in life, and I've moved a lot in my adult life. So I don't feel like I have roots planted on the earth, and I feel like the whole earth is my earth, right? So that gives me ground, but I tend to have a lot of head in the sky kind of ideas and being more visionary and airbound, I guess, and not bound to the earth. So the grounding for me really comes in just a few minutes a day of just sitting still, and either through meditation or beginning to be aware of the subtle things like, oh, why is my hip hurting today? Oh, maybe there's something that in which hip is hurting. Is it my left hip or is it my right hip? Is it something that is and I've been feeling it lately, like in that space and more of the lower body in the right hip, where I'm beginning to be aware that, oh, maybe I'm a little doubtful of the next step, right? Maybe my masculine isn't quite sure where that next step is going to be. But my left hip feels really open. So it's sort of this strange dichotomy of like, yeah, just go play and run with it. Like really take that next step willfully and then come back to the right hip and say, okay, why are you still tight? Why are you still not wanting to
Mm.
take the next step? So I think it's just for me been noticing that, like coming back to that sense of what's here right now, and is it something that needs to be addressed, or is it something that is just here and it's okay that it's here?
I love that. I love how you're defining it and how you're bringing awareness of the body in the present moment, how the body speaks and how you dialogue with it. How the whole beauty is to have a relationship with the body and have a conversation and a genuine and honest and authentic conversation with the body. Which and when the body feels this, it feels loved and it starts opening to us and it starts releasing its energy and its jewels to us. So so tell us about your now and your life now. What is it giving you access now? Um what are you creating now? I know you've also created a summit lately. Our summits were live at the same time. And tell us, the capacity of your womb now to hold that potential of creation and to give birth to projects that are sustainable also.
Yeah, that's been a really big journey for me this year, right? Because most of my work has been, yeah, work that I sought out, but I knew how to do. Like I knew how to write a story and call up people and send that story in. I had no idea how to create a summit, for instance, and all the little things that have to be done to do that. I don't really know how to do social media marketing and automation and all these different things. And I felt like it was a big effort, like even a bigger effort than even walking across two continents at some moments in life. I'm like, oh my God, how do you take the next step? There's like 20 steps I have to take at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to just come back and say, okay, this is the step I'm in. I don't need to create next week's project for this yet. I can say this is what has to be done today. This is can happen tomorrow. And coming into this idea that I do have tomorrow. I am doing what I need to do today, and I have tomorrow. It doesn't all need to be done in a 24-hour period of time. It can be spread
Mm-hmm.
over a few days. And that's given me the capacity to just then enjoy the summit. Like that was a really great experience for me to even without the physical presence, but doing a live every day and showing up and saying, "Well, look at who's come. Like look at all these people who've showed up in my life sort of overnight and how beautiful that is to have that sort of virtual connection with people all around the world who've come for whatever reason they've come for. And then they're saying, wow, that was a beautiful concept. Like, thank you for sharing what you knew with me. And, hopefully we can journey together. So that's the next part of the journey for me is, that bridge between where I was and where I am now happened. It was the summit that was the bridge for me. And now I just have to create the next path, right? Like, it's there and I don't see it with like I don't think I need a machete to cut through all the weeds. I think it's a pretty clear path, but I am inventing each next step,
I
right? So
love
that's
that.
fun.
I am inventing each next step. Jen Balco. But I love it because it's so true, creating every single moment and not being distracted or even dissipating our energy in the future, which actually overwhelms our nervous system. To be in the future, to be in the past, we bring all our energy in the now, which you are now doing and you put into application, creating that summit step by step and grounding the nervous system and building that resiliency of the nervous system, because or else carrying big projects like this, people can feel a lot of overwhelm, right? You might have felt it at one point, I might have felt it at one point. We are human, but being with the body every single moment helps it to come down back to Mother Earth and to discharge all the non-required thoughts, emotions, projections, or whatever it is. Can you relate? Can you say the same thing, that this is your experience too?
Yeah, and I there were moments, even there were so many moments of overwhelm in creating this and months of thinking about it. Like so many months of thinking about it that when I was finally in the doing it, I was actually really happy because then I wasn't thinking about, oh, one day I'm going to do this. It's just happening. And what was so helpful during like the week of the summit and the weeks before the summit of getting all those last things together was to build in those joy moments, like to build in that, like, okay, you need to stand up and go, I don't know, shake my booty in the kitchen while I'm, making the next cup of tea. Like it was 5 minutes. You can go for a walk around the block. You can just step away for a few minutes. And my body really needed that. And it was because I was able to give myself those mini breaks during the day and into like I was working into the evenings. This is the first time I've ever done that. So I'm always like, this was the thing I was doing right now, and then I have to prepare for tomorrow in the evening.
Yeah.
But then I was able to go to sleep and rest deeply
Yeah.
in a short amount of time. Like I was able to carry the energy that I needed without being exhausted
So your
during
body
the
was giving you clear signs of when to stop, when to have this break, and you're connected to this compass, this inner compass of boundaries and knowing. And even if it's a challenge, but this is what you're practicing more and more and putting in place in your life at this point. And I love the joy that you bring. You're the joy medicine in our group, and it's like, and I loved your joy when you started expressing right now how, when you became visible to your group during your summit and you were sharing those gifts in a simple way on lives, how it brought so much joy. Like your let's put it like this, your being was ignited by its own essence, right? By the joy, which is essence, right? And how when we appear us as human, natural and in our authentic gifts, how naturally we just get filled by pristine energy, because it's our birthright to be visible in the sense of being in our essence, right?
Yeah, and it was one of the things that kind of helped me keep coming back to that too is as the registration numbers were growing, like
Mm.
I would go in and I not just look at the numbers, but I would go in and look at like, okay, who is this person? And
Oh,
all I have is their email and I have like an IP of where they may have signed up from. I'm like, wow, somebody's coming from Nova Scotia. Like they signed up from Nova Scotia today. And wow, there's somebody from like Argentina today. Wow, that's awesome, right? So I kept coming back to that as like one of the first things I did each day of, okay, I'm creating this summit for you, Miss, whoever you are in Colombia or
mm.
Venezuela, um, whoever you are in Ontario, Canada, or in London, right? I'm like, today my journey includes you and you're part of this
Oh,
creation. Like, and that for me felt really essential, like to just take those few minutes and come back to that and
mm,
create space for that so that I felt like I was already connecting my intentions with other people's intentions.
mm. Beautiful.
Which I don't know, felt like just sort of a natural thing to do that I didn't know that I hadn't thought that I was going to do that in the beginning of the week, right? Like it.
We feel your heart and yeah, this value of weaving all together and this global aspect. You know, you were a traveler for so long, and we feel all those aspects of you in what you just shared, bringing people together, weaving them, caring, space holding. You know, like it's all those parts of you that you're kind of bringing together, birthing this project, and now nurturing it with who you are. You don't have to compromise who you are. You are who you are with all your beautiful set of skills and gifts, and that's what happens, right? It's beautiful work. Congrats, Jen. Also, like,
Well, thank you. And congrats to you too. It's,
thank you.
now I have such new, deep respect for people who can do this and make it look like, oh, yeah, I just did another big conference. Like, yeah, now I know. It's a lot to bring. It's a lot to offer. So,
Yeah, and when we have direct experience, we often say this, and nobody can really take this away from us. It's the experiences integrated in ourselves, and then we build on this. We just keep on building on this. Tell me, Jen, or tell the whoever is listening, we're going to come to a close soon. Um,
mhm.
I know many are either new to this platform, the authentic woman you are. They were part of the summit, or some have been watching us for months already, and they're curious. They want to know if that's for them. They want to either jump into some transformation journeys in the transformation system that we are offering. What would you tell the people there who are at this, turning point of their life? Something needs to change. They want to live a more creative, authentic life, appearing in their own gifts, and but they're either hesitating or scared, or they don't know what to do or start. Like, what would you tell these people from your experience coming along the journey?
Well, I always tell people leap in, and in that phrase, and the leap and the net will appear. But I think I heard something. One of my speakers said, "It's not about leaping in and like crashing. It's about leaping in and leaping up,
Yes.
right?" And I love the concept that you can leap in and up. So that's how I'm reframing things of like moving from the what if, like what if this was happening and what if I did this and what would happen if I did that, to the sort of yes and, because you need to
Mm.
take the next action. If you just keep staying in the dream space, nothing's ever going to really move. And there was a piece of graffiti on a wall in Barcelona that we saw a few years ago, and I'll say it in English because it'll be just easier. But it said, "The person who doesn't move doesn't feel the chains." So you only feel what's holding you back when you move a bit and say, "Oh, I am shackled to this thing that I no longer need to be attached to." But you have to move to feel that chain move a bit. So, if it's with this program or, not, it's, if you don't say yes and, you're just always going to be in the what if um, dream stage. So
Beautiful.
leap in and up. That's what I would say now.
Thank you so much for this wisdom shared. Really sharp and aligned. Thank you so much, Jen. And
Thank you.
yes, thanks.
And thank you.
Uh,
And thank you for the beautiful work you do, and the joy and love you bring to the world, really.
yeah, you're so welcome. you know, when it's a calling, it's a calling. Huh? I think you can relate now to this, of when something's pushing and the baby wants to come out, it's coming out, and it's a calling.
Yeah.
It's bigger than anything else, right? And it's very satisfying. It brings a satisfaction that, you know, like our womb, you know, when they create, they're aligned with their design. That's what the womb wants to do, be aligned with the creative potential and just keep on popping babies. Let's put it like this. I'm joking with it a bit, but yes,
Yeah, I'm a bit afraid of
yes,
the things that could be coming.
it comes bigger
They
and
need a
bigger.
little bit of gestation, you know. They gotta grow a little bit before they
Of
pop
course,
out. They have to.
gestation is yeah, 9 months. Yeah, we need this time. It's, and the creation process is yeah, integration, and then the seed is planted, and then it's growing, and then it pops, and then there's the whole nurturing, and then the baby gives back to the world,
Yeah.
because there's an essence in this baby, and it's carried, and then it's not ours, right? The baby is not ours. It's meant to do its journey and to share its gift then, right? And that's a
Yeah.
very profound subject. Thanks for that. We're weaving with this subject, but it's beautiful topic, process of creation. Thank you so much, Jenn. People, like, do you have question for Jenn or for our conversation here? I'm just gonna refresh quickly the feed. If we see comments, I'll just read them out loud right now. We're almost closing, and feel free to share whatever you want, comments, questions, insights, what inspired you of what was just shared in our conversation. And it's always our pleasure to connect with you, feel at home on this platform. We more and more want to weave with you, get to know you. If this inspires you, by all means, contact us. It's for you. It's for you to take that next leap, leap in and leap up. Quoted Jenn Balco. Let's see. Okay, so it's taking a bit of time to load because of internet as usual, but let me just see here. I see thank you comments here, and I guess the comments will still be loaded, and we can look at them after Jenn, and we can reply to them
Okay.
after.
Sure.
Many blessings, and may this journey, yeah, be blessed by love and joy and sincerity and authenticity. And yes, let's all surrender on Mother Earth and receive her pristine guidance and infinite nurturing. Thank you, Jenn.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you soon.
See you.